Elder Juwu looked around at the crowd of aliens watching them. "Not here," she said firmly. "We will discuss this in the council chamber." An hour later, Taijo, Ja, Hanul, and the High Council gathered in the private chamber. The walls were thick and no recording devices were allowed. "Read the report," Elder Juwu said to Hanul. Her voice sounded tired and old. Hanul connected her device to the room's display system. Ancient text appeared on the wall screen. Alliance Exploration Report 2753. First contact with species human from planet Earth. Hanul read aloud. Humans appear physically weak but show unusual technological development. Their planet is rich in resources but poorly managed. The Council has approved Plan 12 for this world. What was Plan 12? Taijo asked. Elder Minho answered quietly. It was a standard plan for primitive worlds with valuable resources. First contact. Show superior technology. Offer protection. Then gradually take control. Jia's face remained calm, but her eyes hardened slightly. Hanul continued reading. Contact Mission Day 37. Humans have refused Alliance oversight. They claim their world is not open for resource sharing. Captain authorized display of force in line with Protocol 8. Protocol 8? Taijo asked. Orbital bombardment of an uninhabited area, Elder Juwu explained, to demonstrate our power. The next part of the report showed images, a crater where a forest had been. Alliance ships in Earth's sky. Contact Mission Day 38, Hanul read. Humans have responded with unexpected hostility. 5 Alliance ships destroyed by previously undetected weapons, requesting immediate reinforcements. The report continued, describing a short but brutal war. Alliance forces had expected an easy victory against a single planet. Instead, they found humans fighting with desperate creativity and hidden strength. Contact Mission Day 73. Full retreat ordered. Earth defenses have claimed 40% of our fleet. Humans have deployed biological weapons that target Alliance life forms. They show no interest in surrender and reject all communication. The room was silent when Hanul finished reading. We attacked them first, Taijo said finally. The mighty Alliance tried to steal their world. Elder Juwu nodded slowly. Yes, it was a dark time in our history. The Alliance was younger then, more aggressive in its expansion. So what happened after the retreat? Hanul asked. Eventually, we established communication again, Elder Juwu said. The humans made their terms clear. They wanted to be left alone. All records of the conflict were hidden. All maps of human space were restricted. We agreed to stay away from them, and they agreed not to expand beyond their solar system. Taijo turned to Ja. But why? After defeating the Alliance, humans could have taken revenge. You could have attacked other worlds. Jia shook her head. That's not what we wanted. Humans fought because we had to, not because we wanted to. We've had enough wars among ourselves to know their cost. But your weapons, your technology, you could have conquered many worlds, Taijo insisted. We didn't want conquest, Jia explained. We just wanted our home. After the Alliance left, we focused on building our own world, solving our own problems. We've spent 300 years exploring our solar system and improving life on Earth. Then why accept my challenge now? Taijo asked. Why break your isolation? Jia smiled. Curiosity. Humans are explorers at heart. Some of us have been arguing for years that it's time to rejoin the galactic community. Your challenge gave us a perfect opportunity to test the waters, to see if the Alliance had changed. Taijo looked at the elders, then back to Jia. And have we changed enough? I think so, Jia said. But there's still the final part of your challenge to complete. The combat trial. Taijo felt a chill run through his scales. After everything he had learned, the thought of facing a human in direct combat was no longer exciting. It was terrifying. Taijo could not sleep that night. He kept thinking about the coming knowledge trial. This would test scientific understanding and historical knowledge. As a Daizang, He had been educated in the collected wisdom of 1,000 worlds. Surely humans, isolated on their single planet, could not match this. But after the strategic trial, he was no longer certain of anything. He left his quarters and walked through the quiet halls of the hub. To his surprise, he found Haniel working late in the research center. "You should be resting, champion," she said when she saw him. "I could say the same to you," Taejo replied. "What are you studying so late?" Haniel showed him her screen. "I found more fragments about humans. Look at this." The screen showed an old report. "Human scientific development rate exceeds all known species. Caution advised." "This is from before the war," Haniel explained. "The Alliance was watching Earth for decades before making contact. They saw humans go from simple flight machines to space travel in less than 100 years. Taejo frowned. "That's not possible. Such progress takes centuries." "For us, yes," Haniel said. "But humans seem to work differently." The knowledge trial was held in the Great Hall. 3 Alliance judges sat at a high table. They would ask questions that neither Taejo nor Jia had seen before. The hall was filled with spectators from many worlds. Taejo noticed that more had come to see this trial than the previous ones. Jia entered wearing the same blue clothes she had worn since arriving. She nodded politely to Taejo as she took her place. The knowledge trial tests understanding of science, history, and culture, the lead judge announced. Each competitor will answer the same questions. They may not hear each other's answers. Taejo went first. He was taken to a small room where he answered questions for 2 hours. The questions covered physics, biology, mathematics, history, and more. Some were easy, others stretched even his extensive knowledge. When he finished, he felt confident. He had answered most questions correctly. Then it was Jia's turn. Taejo waited in the Great Hall, watching the faces of the judges as they listened to her answers through their communication devices. At first, they looked calm, then confused, then alarmed. When Jia returned, the judges spoke quietly among themselves for several minutes. Finally, the lead judge addressed the audience. "We have a surprising result," he said. Champion Taejo answered 87% of questions correctly, which is an excellent score. The Daezang in the audience nodded with approval. Human Representative Jia answered 93% correctly. The hall erupted in shocked voices. Taejo felt his scales tighten against his body, a Daezang response to stress. However, the judge continued, "We must report that on 5 questions, the human gave answers that contradict established Alliance knowledge. After review, we find that her answers appear to be correct. Our records may need updating." Now the entire hall was in chaos. Alliance scientists in the audience were arguing loudly. How could a human know things that the combined knowledge of 1,000 worlds did not? Taejo approached Jia as the crowd buzzed around them. "How is this possible?" he asked quietly. "Your people have been isolated on one world." "We've been busy," Jia said simply. "Humans are curious. We spend a lot of time trying to understand the universe." Before Taejo could ask more questions, Haniel pushed through the crowd toward them. Her face was filled with excitement. "I found it," she said breathlessly. "I found the full report on the human war." She held up a small data device. It was hidden in old storage files. No one had accessed it for centuries. Elder Juwu appeared suddenly beside them, her aged face tight with anger. "Give me that device," she commanded. "Those files are restricted by council order." "No," Taejo said, stepping between them. "I started this challenge to learn the truth about humans. No more secrets." The elder's eyes narrowed. "You do not understand what you're doing, champion." "Then help me understand," Taejo said. "What really happened with the humans? Why does the Alliance fear them?" Elder Juwu looked at Jia, who had remained calm throughout the exchange. "Perhaps," Jia said quietly. "It's time everyone knew the truth." The High Council chamber was silent as Elder Juwu stared at Taejo. Her anger was clear in the dark red color of her neck scales. You have put our people at risk, she said finally. Your challenge to the humans was foolish. Taizhou stood tall before the council. I am champion. It is my right to challenge any warrior. The humans are not like other species, Elder Minho said quietly. There are agreements in place. What agreements? Taizhou demanded. Why is everyone afraid to speak of them? Before any elder could answer, the chamber doors opened. A young messenger ran in and bowed quickly. Elders, champion, a message has arrived from human space. The council members looked at each other in alarm. Play it, Elder Juwu ordered. A screen appeared in the center of the room. It showed only text, no image. Challenge accepted. One representative will arrive at Galactic Hub in 14 standard days. Coordinates for docking requested. The chamber erupted in worried voices. Elder Juwu silenced them with a raised hand. It seems your challenge has been answered, champion, she said. You will face the consequences of your actions. 2 weeks later, Taizhou stood in the main docking bay of the Galactic Hub with Elder Juwu, Elder Minho, and a group of Daizang guards. News of the humans' arrival had spread quickly. Viewing platforms around the bay were filled with aliens from many species, all curious to see a human. Remember, Elder Juwu said to Taizhou, you will be polite. You will follow the rules of diplomatic contact. The human must not be provoked. Taizhou nodded, though he was confused by the council's fear. How dangerous could one human be? A small ship appeared in the docking field. It was simple and unmarked, much smaller than Taizhou had expected for an interstellar journey. The ship's door opened, and a single figure stepped out. Taizhou blinked in surprise. The human was smaller than him, with no scales or protective plating. It had pale skin, dark hair, and wore simple blue clothing with no armor. Most shocking of all, it appeared to be female and completely ordinary. This is their champion. Taizhou whispered to Elder Minho. She looks weak. Elder Minho's scales paled with worry. Do not judge by appearance, champion. The human walked toward them with a calm, steady pace. Her face showed no fear or awe at the alien crowd watching her. I am Ja, she said in perfect galactic standard, representative of Earth. I understand there is a challenge to answer. Elder Juwu stepped forward and gave the formal greeting gesture. Welcome to Galactic Hub, human Ja. I am Elder Juwu of the High Council of Daizang. This is our champion, Taizhou, who issued the challenge. Jia looked at Taizhou with calm brown eyes. She was nearly half a head shorter than him, with no visible weapons or enhancements. You are the champion who has never lost, she asked. I am, Taizhou said, standing taller. I expected your people would send their greatest warrior. A small smile appeared on Jia's face. We don't really have warriors anymore. I volunteered because I was curious about the alliance. I work as a teacher on Earth. Taizhou couldn't hide his shock. A teacher, not a warrior. This is disrespect to the challenge. Taizhou, Elder Juwu snapped. Remember your place. Jia seemed unbothered. On Earth, we don't keep specialized fighters. We haven't needed them for a long time. Then how do you defend yourselves? Taizhou asked. We manage, Jia said simply. Then she looked around the docking bay. Is there somewhere I can rest? The journey was long, and I'd like to prepare for these trials. As Elder Minho led Jia away, Elder Juwu pulled Taizhou aside. Be careful, champion, she whispered. This is not what it seems. She is just a teacher, Taizhou argued. This will be an easy victory. Elder Juwu's inner eyelids closed halfway, a sign of deep concern. The humans have sent us a message by choosing her. I fear you do not understand it yet. 3 days after the celebration, Taizhou sat in the great library of Mail. Around him, data screens glowed with the little information he could find about humans. It wasn't much. Most files were locked or empty. This makes no sense, he said to himself. How can a whole species have so few records? A young Daesang researcher named Haniol approached his table. She wore the blue markings of the Science Guild on her scales. "Champion Taejo," she said with a quick bow. "I heard you were looking for information about Earth." "Earth? The human home planet," Haniol explained. "I studied unusual species at the Academy." Taejo gestured to the empty chair across from him. "Please, sit. Tell me what you know." Haniol looked around nervously before sitting. "I should not be talking about this. The High Council has marked human records as restricted. Yet here you are," Taejo said with interest. She nodded. "Knowledge should be free. What I know is that humans were discovered about 300 cycles ago. The Alliance made contact. And then, something happened. Afterward, human space was marked as restricted. No one goes there. No one talks about it." "What happened?" Taejo asked. "No one knows, or no one will say." Haniol's voice dropped lower. "But I found one old record that wasn't properly sealed. It described humans as unexpectedly dangerous, and to be avoided at all costs." Taejo leaned back, his interest now fully caught. How could a species be so dangerous that the mighty Alliance feared them? It made no sense. The Alliance included the strongest warriors from 1,000 worlds. "I need to see these humans for myself," Taejo decided. 1 week later, Taejo stood before the High Council. All 12 elders looked down at him from their raised platform. "You request a long-range ship?" Elder Juwu asked. "For what purpose?" "To seek new challengers," Taejo said. He had decided not to mention humans directly. "As champion, I should face the best fighters from all corners of the Alliance." Elder Minho, the youngest of the council, nodded. "This seems reasonable. Our champion brings glory to the Daesang wherever he competes." But Elder Juwu's eyes narrowed. "And where exactly do you plan to travel?" Taejo felt her suspicion. "Wherever worthy opponents may be found." "Request denied," Elder Juwu said firmly. "Your next tournament begins in 60 days. You should focus on training." Taejo bowed and left, but his mind was working quickly. If he could not go to the humans, perhaps he could bring them to him. That night, Taejo used his champion's access codes to enter the Galactic Communication Center. The operators bowed deeply as he passed. "I wish to send a message," he told the head operator. "A broadcast to all systems." "Of course, champion. The system is yours." Alone in the broadcast room, Taejo activated the recording equipment. His image would be sent to every corner of the Alliance and beyond. "I am Taejo, champion of the Daesang, 20-time winner of the Alliance Combat Tournament," he began. "I have defeated challengers from 1,000 worlds, but there is one species that hides from true competition. I speak to the humans of Earth." He paused, knowing his words might anger the High Council, but his curiosity had become too strong to ignore. "I challenge any human champion to face me in a series of trials. Physical combat, strategy, and knowledge. Let us determine, once and for all, which species produces the greatest warriors. If you are not cowards, send your answer to the Galactic Hub." He ended the transmission and sat back. What he had done could not be undone. The High Council would be furious, but they would not punish their champion publicly. Now he could only wait for a response, if the humans were brave enough to answer. As he left the communication center, he did not notice the small figure watching from the shadows. Elder Juwu's personal assistant slipped away to report to his master. The champion had just made a terrible mistake. A war against humans. Taejo stared at Haniol in disbelief. How could we lose? The Alliance has thousands of worlds. Haniol looked around nervously. They were in a quiet corner of the research center, away from others. "The records are mostly deleted," she said. "But I found small pieces. It seems the Alliance tried to claim Earth. They thought humans would be easy to control. And they weren't." Haniol shook her head. "The records say humans fought in ways no one expected. The Alliance lost many ships before they retreated. After that, There was an agreement to leave human space alone. Taizhou thought about Jia and her calm confidence. It made more sense now. But he still had questions. Why didn't the humans attack other worlds after they won? I don't know, Handul admitted. The records don't say. The next morning was the strategic trial. This would test mental skills, not physical ones. Taizhou felt more confident about this challenge. Strategic thinking was part of every Daesang's education, and as champion, he had studied battle plans from across the galaxy. The trial would use the Great Simulator, a huge room where holographic images created a three-dimensional battlefield. Each competitor would command virtual forces against the other. Taizhou arrived early to prepare. He was surprised to see Jia already there, studying the simulator controls with interest. "Have you used one of these before?" he asked. "No," she replied. "But we have similar games on Earth. I think I understand how it works." Elder Minho explained the rules to the audience. Each competitor will command an equal fleet of ships. They must capture the other's home base or destroy their fleet to win. The simulator creates realistic space physics and weapon effects. Taizhou and Jia took positions at opposite ends of the room. The air between them filled with tiny lights that formed into planets, stars, and spaceships. Taizhou's fleet appeared in blue, while Jia's was red. The trial began. Taizhou immediately moved his ships into a classic Daesang formation, a defensive sphere with long-range weapons protected in the center. This had won him many strategic competitions before. On the other side of the simulation, Jia's ships did something strange. Instead of forming up, they scattered in different directions. Some hid behind planets. Others flew directly toward Taizhou's formation in small groups. "What is she doing?" Elder Jiwu whispered from the viewing platform. "That is no battle strategy I've ever seen." Taizhou was confused too. The scattered ships should be easy to destroy one by one. He sent part of his fleet to attack the nearest group of Jia's ships. But as his ships moved forward, Jia's hidden vessels ambushed them from behind planets and asteroids. Small fast ships darted in, fired, and retreated before Taizhou's larger vessels could respond. Taizhou tried to adapt, but each time he changed his strategy, Jia seemed to predict his moves. Her ships used the environment in unexpected ways, hiding in gas clouds, using gravity wells to change direction quickly, even letting some ships appear damaged to lure his fleet into traps. After 30 minutes, the simulation ended. Jia had lost more ships than Taizhou, but her remaining forces had captured his home base. She had won. The audience was silent, then broke into excited chatter. No one had beaten Taizhou in a strategic trial for years. "How?" Taizhou asked as they left the simulator. "Your tactics made no sense. They shouldn't have worked." Jia smiled. "Humans have a long history of warfare. We learned that sometimes the best strategy is to be unpredictable." "Who taught you to fight like that?" Taizhou pressed. "No one person," Jia said. "We study thousands of years of battles, victories, and defeats. We learn from all of them." As they walked, Elder Ju approached them, her face serious. "The final trial will be tomorrow," she said. "The knowledge trial." She looked at Jia. "I must speak with the human representative alone." Taizhou watched them walk away, wondering what the elder would say. One thing was becoming clear. There was much more to humans than anyone in the Alliance knew. And tomorrow would be his last chance to prove Daesang's superiority. Taizhou stood at the edge of the great viewing deck, his four-fingered hands resting on the rail as he looked out at the stars. The galactic hub station hung in space like a silver flower, its petals reaching toward 1,000 worlds. Far below, the blue-green planet of Mayul turned slowly, home to the central government of the Daesang people. "Champion Taizhou," a voice called from behind him. "The victory celebration awaits you." Taizhou turned to see his assistant, Duri, bowing low. Her scales shimmered with the traditional gold paint of a formal occasion. "Tell them I need a few more minutes," Taizhou said. He looked back at the stars, his thoughts far away. Duri hesitated. The High Council is eager to honor you. You have won your 20th tournament. No champion in history has done this. Taizhou nodded but did not move. 20 victories, he said softly. 20 times I have proven the Daizeng are the strongest species in the Alliance. Yet something bothered him. A comment made by his last opponent, a warrior from the gas giants of the Tumen system. As they had fought in the final match, the alien had laughed through its breathing mask and said, "You are good, Daizeng, but you have never faced a human. You are not the best until you beat one of them." The alien had lost the fight, but its words remained in Taizhou's mind. "Duri," he said suddenly, "what do you know about humans?" The assistant's inner eyelids flickered with surprise. "The isolated species. Very little, champion. They stay in their own system, far from the trade routes. They rarely speak to other species." "Why?" Taizhou turned fully now, his interest caught. "Are they weak? Afraid?" "I do not know," Duri admitted. "The records are few." This was strange to Taizhou. The Galactic Alliance kept careful records of all known species, their strengths and weaknesses, their histories and achievements. For a species to have so little information was unusual. "Come," he said, moving toward the exit. "We will go to the celebration. But tomorrow, I want to learn more about these humans." The Great Hall of Victories was filled with Daizeng of all ranks and roles. They stood in perfect circles based on their status, with the High Council in the center. As Taizhou entered, a cheer rose up from thousands of throats. Elder Juwu stepped forward, her ancient scales dull with age, but her eyes sharp and clear. As head of the High Council, she placed the circlet of champions on Taizhou's head for the 20th time. "Champion Taizhou brings honor to all Daizeng," she announced. "For 200 cycles, he has proven our superiority in the Alliance tournaments. No other species can match our strength, our speed, our wisdom." The crowd cheered again, but Taizhou barely heard them. His thoughts were still on the mysterious humans. Later, as the celebration continued around him, Taizhou approached Elder Juwu. "Elder, I wish to ask about a species," he said with a respectful bow. "Ask, champion," she replied. "What do you know of humans?" The effect was immediate and surprising. Elder Juwu's body stiffened, and her inner eyelids closed completely, a sign of strong emotion among the Daizeng. "Why do you ask about them?" Her voice was low, almost a whisper. "I heard they are strong warriors, that I should test myself against them." "No." The word came out sharp, unlike the elder's usual measured speech. "The humans stay in their territory, and we stay in ours. That is the agreement." "Agreement?" Taizhou pressed. "What agreement? Why would the mighty Daizeng make deals with a lesser species?" Elder Juwu looked around quickly, then leaned closer. "Some things are not spoken of, champion. Even to you, forget these humans. Enjoy your victory." She turned and walked away, leaving Taizhou more curious than before. In all his years, he had never seen the elder afraid. Yet fear was what he had just witnessed. That night, Taizhou made a decision. If the High Council would not tell him about humans, he would find out for himself. And if they were truly great warriors, he would challenge them. After all, how could he call himself the champion of the Daizeng if he had not faced every worthy opponent in the universe? The combat arena was filled to capacity. News of the humans' performance in the first 2 trials had spread throughout the station. Now, everyone wanted to see the final test. Direct combat between champion Taizhou and the human teacher, Jia. In the preparation room, Taizhou sat alone. He had trained all his life for combat. His body was stronger, his reflexes faster, and his scales provided natural armor that human skin lacked. Yet he felt uneasy. Elder Minho entered the room. "Champion, the council has discussed this matter. Perhaps we should cancel the final trial. We have learned much from the human already." Taizhou shook his head. "No, I started this challenge, and I will finish it. My honor demands it." In truth, part of him wanted to see what a human could do in direct combat. The mystery had only grown deeper with each revelation. The arena was a large circle with a soft floor. Various training weapons hung on the walls, all blunted or designed to stun rather than kill. This was a test of skill, not a fight to the death. Taejo entered first, wearing only his training clothes. The crowd cheered for their champion. Then Jia walked in, still in her simple blue outfit. She had added flexible gloves, but nothing else. Elder Juwu explained the rules. This is a combat trial. Competitors may use any weapon from the walls or fight empty-handed. The trial ends when one competitor cannot continue or surrenders. Taejo and Jia stood in the center of the arena, facing each other. "I do not wish to harm you," Taejo said quietly. Jia smiled. "I appreciate that. Shall we start?" At the signal, they began. Taejo moved carefully, watching Jia's stance. She held her hands up in a simple defensive position. Her movements were smooth and balanced. Taejo tried a quick attack, not his fastest, but enough to test her. Jia blocked his strike and stepped aside, making no counterattack. Her reflexes were good, but nothing that surprised him. Encouraged, Taejo increased his speed. He launched a series of strikes that would have overwhelmed most opponents. Jia blocked some, dodged others, and absorbed a few with her body. She winced at a hard hit to her shoulder, but showed no fear. "You are holding back," Taejo said as they circled each other. "So are you," Jia replied. Taejo decided to end this quickly. He moved to the wall and took a training staff, his best weapon. Then he attacked with his full strength and speed, the staff becoming a blur as he spun and struck. To his shock, Jia matched him. She took a shorter staff and blocked his attacks with precise movements. When his staff connected with her body, she absorbed the impact and kept fighting. After several minutes, they both were breathing hard. "How?" Taejo gasped. "You're just a teacher." "On Earth," Jia said between breaths, "many people study combat as a hobby or for exercise. I've practiced martial arts since I was a child." She suddenly changed her fighting style. Instead of blocking, she began to slip past his defenses. Her strikes were not as powerful as his, but they hit vulnerable points on his body, spots where scales joined, where nerves were close to the surface. Taejo felt pain bloom across his body. He tried to adapt, but Jia kept changing her approach. First, she fought like a centurion, then like a vorax, then using techniques he had never seen. "How do you know so many fighting styles?" he demanded, backing away to catch his breath. "Humans study everything," Jia explained. "We collect knowledge. We adapt. Our planet has thousands of different fighting methods from hundreds of cultures." She moved forward again, her eyes focused and calm. "We're not naturally stronger or faster than many species. We just never stop learning." Taejo fought with everything he had, but Jia seemed to predict his every move. Slowly, inevitably, he began to tire. His strikes became slower. His defense had gaps. Finally, a precise hit to a nerve cluster in his neck sent him to his knees. He tried to rise but couldn't make his body respond. Jia stepped back and bowed slightly. The match is over. For the first time in his life, champion Taejo had been defeated. The first trial was set for the next day. Word had spread quickly about the humans' arrival. The viewing area was packed with aliens from every part of the Alliance, all eager to see the mysterious human compete against the famous champion Taejo. Hanyul, the young scientist, found Taejo in the preparation room. "Champion, I've been studying what little we know about human biology," she said, her voice low. "They appear weak, but their home planet has higher gravity than most Alliance worlds. Their muscles may be denser than they look." Taejo was stretching his long limbs. "It doesn't matter. The course was built for Daezang abilities. No one has ever completed it perfectly, not even me." The physical trial course stood in the center of the hub's largest arena. It had high walls to climb, narrow bridges to cross, heavy weights to lift, and pools of liquid to swim through. Each section was designed to test different physical skills. Jia entered the arena wearing the same simple blue clothes from yesterday. She carried no equipment and wore no special gear. The crowd whispered as she walked to the starting line. Many were seeing a human for the first time. Elder Juwu addressed the audience. Today we witnessed the first of 3 trials between Champion Taizhou of the Daizeng and Representative Jia of Earth. The physical trial tests strength, speed, and endurance. The faster competitor wins. Taizhou took his place at the starting line. He was confident. His body had been trained since birth for physical perfection. His scales gleamed with health, and his muscles were clearly visible beneath them. Next to him, Jia looked small and soft. She did some simple stretches and rolled her shoulders. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Taizhou asked her. "There is no shame in recognizing superior biology." Jia smiled. "I'll be fine. We do things like this for fun on Earth." The starting signal sounded. Taizhou leaped forward, his powerful legs carrying him toward the first obstacle, a 5-meter wall. He climbed it easily, his clawed hands finding perfect grips. To his surprise, when he reached the top, Jia was already there. She had climbed differently, using less strength but more efficient movements. She gave him a small nod before continuing to the next challenge. Taizhou pushed harder. At the weightlifting section, he was sure he would gain an advantage. The weights were massive metal spheres, designed to be difficult even for Daisang's strength. He lifted his weight with effort, muscles straining. He looked over, expecting to see Jia struggling. Instead, she was already moving on. She had lifted her weight with clear effort, but without stopping. Throughout the course, the pattern continued. In some areas, Taizhou's natural abilities gave him the edge. In others, Jia's technique and efficiency let her pull ahead. She swam through the liquid pools with smooth, powerful strokes. She balanced across narrow beams without hesitation. The crowd grew silent as they watched. This was not what they had expected. At the final obstacle, a series of hanging rings that required jumping from one to another, Taizhou gave everything he had. He finished the course and turned to see his time displayed on the huge screen, the fastest ever recorded. But then Jia crossed the finish line just 3 seconds behind him. The arena was silent with shock. No one had ever come so close to matching the champion. "You did well," Taizhou said between heavy breaths. Jia was breathing hard too, her face flushed red with effort. "Thanks. It was a good course. Reminds me of the obstacle races we do back home for charity events." "Charity events?" Taizhou couldn't understand. "You do this for fun?" "Sure," Jia said, wiping sweat from her face. "Lots of humans enjoy physical challenges. It's good exercise." As they left the arena, Taizhou noticed Elder Juwu and other council members speaking in urgent, hushed tones. They looked worried, despite his victory. Later, he found Haniel in the research center. "Tell me more about humans," he said. "There's something we're not seeing." Haniel nodded. "I've been looking at old records. Champion, I found something strange. 300 years ago, there was a small war between the Alliance and humans. We never speak of it, but we lost." The arena was silent as Taizhou knelt on the floor. Then a low murmur spread through the crowd. The champion of the Daizeng, undefeated for 20 years, had lost to a human teacher. Jia extended her hand to help him up. After a moment, Taizhou took it and rose to his feet. "You fought well," she said. "As did you," Taizhou replied, his voice quiet. "Better than anyone I have ever faced." The High Council members looked at each other with worried faces. This was not what they had expected, not what they had feared. The human had won, but she had shown no cruelty, no desire to humiliate her opponent. Later that day, Taizhou sat in the medical center. The healer checked his body for injuries while Elder Juwu and Elder Minho waited nearby. "The human defeated you," Elder Juwu said. Her voice was not angry, just tired. "Now the whole alliance will know." "Yes," Taizhou said. "They should know. They should know the truth about humans. And what truth is that? Asked Elder Minho. Taizhou thought for a moment. That they are not what we feared. They are not monsters who want to destroy us. They are people who want to live in peace but will defend themselves if attacked. What will you do now? Elder Jiwu asked. Your reputation. My reputation was built on ignorance, Taizhou interrupted. I thought the Daizang were superior to all others. I was wrong. That evening, a formal dinner was held to mark the end of the trials. Representatives from many Alliance worlds attended. Jia sat at the main table beside Elder Jiwu, looking comfortable in her simple clothes among the elaborately dressed aliens. Taizhou entered the hall and walked directly to the center of the room. The crowd fell silent, watching. I have a statement to make, he announced. I challenged the humans to prove Daisang's superiority. I was wrong to do so. The human representative has shown that her people are not inferior to ours. They are different, but worthy of our respect. He turned to face Jia. I apologize for my pride and ignorance. I thank you for teaching me this lesson. Jia smiled and nodded. Your challenge gave humans a chance to rejoin the galactic community. For that, we thank you. Elder Jiwu stood slowly. For 300 years, the Alliance has kept its distance from Earth. Perhaps it is time for that to change. Perhaps we have all learned from our past mistakes. Humans would welcome peaceful contact, Jia said. We have much to share and much to learn. 2 weeks later, Taizhou stood in the docking bay, watching as Jia prepared to return to Earth. She would carry a formal message from the Alliance Council, proposing new diplomatic relations with humans. Will you visit Earth someday? Jia asked him. If I am permitted, Taizhou replied. I would like to see this world that produced such people. You would be welcome, she said. Perhaps you could teach some of our martial artists the Daizang fighting style. Taizhou laughed. After seeing how quickly you learned my techniques, I think humans need no help from me. Jia's expression grew serious. There's something you should understand about humans, Taizhou. We aren't special. We're just survivors. Earth tried to kill us many times throughout our history, with disease, natural disasters, harsh climates. We had to adapt or die. That is true of many species, Taizhou said. Yes, but our advantage isn't physical strength or natural weapons, Jia explained. It's our ability to learn, to work together when we must, and to see possibilities where others see only problems. She held out her hand in the human greeting gesture. Taizhou took it carefully. The Alliance feared us because they didn't understand us, Jia said. Don't make the same mistake again. As her ship departed, Taizhou stood with Hanyul at the viewing window. They watched until the small vessel disappeared among the stars. What will you do now? Hanyul asked. Will you compete in the tournaments again? Taizhou shook his head. No, I think my time as champion is over. There are more important things to learn than how to win fights. He turned away from the window, looking at the diverse aliens moving through the galactic hub. For the first time, he saw them not as potential opponents, but as people with their own strengths and knowledge. The humans were right to focus on building rather than conquering, he said. Perhaps that is the true mark of an advanced species.